Hi, hello, how are you doing? I hope everything is fine. I hope all is good. Well, I don't know if you know about Inktober, but that's kind of a thing in the artist community. I checked on Inktober and to my surprise, well, that's little to say to my surprise. To my shock, I realized that Inktober this year is not in October. It's a whole new thing. It's called Inktober 52. Well, let me just rewind a little bit. If you don't know what Inktober is this little thing for artists that takes place in October, and you basically just have to draw every day in October an ink drawing, an ink illustration. This whole thing was started by this little artist that you might know or not, Jake Parker. This guy is an illustrator, a comic book writer, basically just, an artist. And he does the line work for his drawings and illustrations in ink. And to get better, he just decided to start a whole new artistic movement that takes place every year in October, if you haven't noticed it by now. And basically it's just in the title, Inktober. You just draw for 31 days ink drawings, and you have a prompt for each day, which is really helpful. And it's easier to draw with the prompt than just to come up with 31 drawings out of nowhere. Unfortunately though, 2020 has been a little bit crazy. You might have noticed that, and that happened in October too. Instead of taking place in October, it takes place the whole year, and it's called 52 because there are 52 weeks in a year, and you have a prompt basically for every week. And I really wanted to participate, so I just shot out 13 drawings out of my head in basically 2 days. Alright, let's get down to business. As you can see, I have a really janky looking sketchbook here. Believe it or not, I made it myself. I added this black line, and this was the only stylistic choice I wanted to add. Besides the custom 52 pages, well, I added 2 extra pages as, cover pages. No one draws on the first page. And I think I did a pretty alright job. I tried my best cutting it and sewing it together, because I sewed it together. And I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, the pages aren't falling apart. It looks okay when I open it. Okay, it's not perfect, but it does the job. Plus it's a sketchbook, you meant to sketch. None of the works here are gonna be presented in an art gallery. Also, I'm really happy with the spine. I did a pretty decent job there. So let's just start this bad boy up with the first prompt, which was in the first week of January, and it's flight. And as you can see, I sketched out this guy with wings. Let's not call it an angel, because I don't really want to get religious here, alright? So I tried to sketch in this guy that is taking flight. Ha! Get it? Flight. That's the prompt. I sketched it out in pencil, because I'm not gonna do this whole thing only in inking. So I sketched out my dude, and I really didn't like the winged idea of the guy, because it just resembled too much an angel. So, those things that were invented by Da Vinci when people started to fly? Yeah, I basically made one of those things, the really janky looking ones that are made out of cloth and wood and strings. And I also warped the ground to add a little bit of an action effect. They're used like in animes and fight scenes and just dramatic moments. It's like a fisheye lens, but I think the opposite of a fisheye lens. I don't know what the opposite of a fisheye lens is. If you're smart, you probably know. I'm not. And also added some background mountains with some clouds to bring just the whole thing together. And I think it turned out pretty okay. I don't know what to tell you. You'll be the judge of it. Also at the end, you're gonna see all the drawings at once in sort of a glamour shot. But moving on, second prompt was shadow. And I didn't know what to draw, so I just googled it and one of these pictures came out. But instead of being predictable and drawing a man in the door frame, I drew a chicken, because it's the most terrifying thing. I'm joking. Chickens are the best thing that ever happened, and don't even try to at me, because chickens are the best thing ever, period. So I added in a chicken in the door frame and colored everything in black because, you know, shadow. And I did it with a brush. And I'm really not happy with this one. It's basically just terrible. The chicken doesn't even look like a chicken. It looks like a cardboard cutout of a weird pigeon. But you know, it's a shadow. The prompt is done. Plus it's a sketchbook. It's not gonna be hung up in a museum. Not that any of my drawings would be hung up in a museum. But anyway, there was the shadow prompt. Nothing too crazy. Chicken standing in a doorway. Revolutionary. I know. Moving on though. Third prompt. The third prompt was a really weird one. It was just brick. I mean, come on, what am I supposed to do with that? So I tried to be funny and I literally just drew a brick in grass because I wanted to add something interesting in the picture, not only just a freaking brick, because that would have been just too boring. And therefore I went in with some water that had some ink in it and tried to do the shadows on the brick. Little to say, it turned out pretty horribly and I didn't get the shadow effect that I wanted, so I just tried to cross-hatch it, but little to say, I couldn't save this picture anymore. It's just a brick, you know? It's nothing too crazy. Next one was interesting though. I really like this one. It was snake, if you couldn't tell by now, and I drew this snake curling around some branches, and this one was really fun to make. I really liked to add the scales on the snake. At first I didn't really want to add the scales because I thought it would take me ages, but honestly none of these drawings took me a lot. Like I said, I did them in like a day, and every drawing took me, I don't know, not all of them, but like in average I would say half an hour, 30 minutes. So it wasn't too crazy. It was interesting though. It was the sketching process was the most interesting one. But yeah, the snake turned out pretty good. I'm quite happy with the snake. It's the least horrible thing that I inked in this sketchbook so far, at least. Next one was a really interesting one. It was balloon, and I thought long and hard about it, but I couldn't come up with anything original, and the only thing I could come up with was it, because you know, he had the signature red balloon in the movies and I couldn't just draw balloons. And I also didn't want to leave the balloon alone, so I added the signature Steve Buscemi face. Well, you probably know what face it is. It's from that Phineas and Ferb episode with Balloony, a tragic backstory from Doofenshmirtz. And it's probably one of the best things I've ever seen. And there I was, finishing up it holding Balloony. Something that I thought I never say out loud. Next prompt. What was it again? Hammer. Oh yeah, this is a fun one. Initially I wanted to draw Thor, like holding his hammer, but his hammer is floating because, you know, he's Thor and he can make it float by the power of static electricity. Don't quote me on that, I don't know how static electricity works, but you know, it would have been cool to have Thor holding, or not holding, having his hammer float in his hand. I don't know why that was so hard to say, but I said it. However though, I just didn't manage to draw Thor. I tried to sketch him out, but you know, it just didn't work out, plus I just didn't want to have another character. So I just had the hand and the floating hammer in it. That's it. I don't want to blow my own horn here, but I was the model for the hand and I did a pretty good job. If you're interested in some hand modeling pictures, just slide into my DMs and ask for those spicy hand pics. Anyway, with the hammer drawing out of the way, I was pretty down and the next prompt didn't help me out a lot. It was just dinner. And at first I just wanted to draw a plate with dinner stuff on it, but you know, it's kinda boring. So I drew a headless man in a suit getting ready to eat brains for dinner. You can make up your own story about how this came to be, but it's just a guy getting ready to eat brains that doesn't have a head. And there's a clock in the background. It looks like it's a guy with a floating clock as a head. It's abstract, it's metaphorical. I don't know. It's art. Art is subjective. I couldn't get more creative than that. Also, let me just point out the watch that is lying on the table. I wanted to add more stuff on the table, but you know, the watch was pretty fitting to draw on the table. Also, after the brick incident, I was terrified to draw shadows. Therefore, I just used hard shadows, you know, just black and white drawing. And that adds a really interesting look to it. Number 8, it was Spider. And you know, it's a pretty bland prompt. Spider, you can make anything out of it. And spiders are terrifying. And I gotta say that I'm not scared of spiders. No, spiders are awesome. And I really wanted to make the spider cute. You know, like one of those cute spider illustrations. However, it didn't turn out really cute. And I was really upset that it didn't turn out cute, because I tried my best. But you know, I was experimenting with like shading here, so I cross-hatched it. And added some models. Also, I made him balance on this really cute spider web that presumably this exact spider made. And that was it. That was the spider. I can't say more to it. And I just cleaned it up with my eraser and looked at it for a while. It was pretty soothing. A spider hanging out on its web. I know. Just take it in. Moving on, next prompt was wave, and as you can see I used my coffee cup to do a circle. I wanted to draw like one of those iconic Japanese waves that are really popular, by the way, and I just didn't want to fill the whole page, so I did a circle to add some more artistic balance to it. Is that a word? Artistic balance? I don't know. It's a circle on a paper, goddammit. So I just made the waves. I think they turned out pretty good. I don't want to brag about it, but I'm really happy with it. Okay, the circle is not perfect, but I got over it because the waves look pretty alright. At the end, it looked like a logo for a tea company or for a Japanese sake bottle. I don't know. Pretty crazy. Next up was honestly my favorite drawing from these 3 prompts so far. It was Elf, and I just had so much fun with it. Finding the pose of this elf character was like the best thing that I did of Inktober. And you know, I was so happy that I had a really nice pose for this character, for this elf character. And I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with the position, and I think it's the most detailed drawing I've made so far. Well, so far in the Inktober 52 challenge. I kinda messed up on the hair at the end, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. I'm definitely seeing myself to redraw this one though. Next up, we're on the 10th prompt already. It was tower, and the only thing I could come up with was the tower from Tangled, from Rapunzel. You know, she's locked in a tower, what else can I think of? And at this point I was pretty burned out, so I just drew a janky looking tower. You know, it's a broken up tower. The roof kinda looks like a witch hat. It's kind of a storytelling thingy. I don't know, it's a tower. Don't question me on that, okay? I don't know why I'm getting so triggered, I'm sorry. You can hear my frustration with this Inktober 52 challenge. By the way, one of the rules of Inktober is that you have to post it. You have to post it and hashtag it with Inktober and Inktober 52. So I'm just saying Inktober as many times as I can, because those are the rules and you have to follow the rules. Right, sorry. Next prompt was elephant. I'm sorry why, I don't know why I pronounced that so weird. Elephant. And I just didn't want to draw a plain old elephant, so I pimped this boy up. I made a knot on his trunk, and that sounds weirdly sexual. What is wrong with me? And I made... Alright, Sorry, I'm trying to contain myself. I put a bunch of piercings in his ear and made him look really edgy. Basically, it looks like what metal bands would use for their logo, or what motorcycle gang members would put on their denim vests. You know, pretty edgy. I was kinda happy with it, with all the piercings, and actually the shading turned out pretty decent. And finally, coming up to my next prompt, number 13, which ironically is just called Joy. And I was so burned out at this point and uncreative that I just drew myself experiencing joy at that exact moment, which was just me giving the thumbs up with a questionable smile, saying that I feel happy. But you know, it was the most joy I probably felt in years. And there I was, completing the first 13 prompts of Inktober 52, 2020. Isn't that just crazy? I just have like, what, 39 more prompts to go, which, you know, I have the rest of the year to do it. And the next video is gonna be the next 13 prompts. So hopefully by the end of the year I'm gonna have 4 videos on the Inktober 52 challenge. And honestly, the first part was pretty horrible because I came too late to the party and I squeezed out 13 drawings that I inked, and I did them in like a day, which was pretty crazy. But you know, I was creative, that's the point in Inktober, trying to get better at inking and drawing in general. Gotta say though, my favorite one was the elf girl and the snake. Alright, those turned out okay. Okay, maybe the flight one too. I don't know. Some of them are good, most of them are bad. Let's just say like 15% are good and the rest are bad. And thanks for watching, if you did. And I hope you enjoyed my meltdown. Don't worry, there's gonna be more. I have more prompts to go. So see you in the next Inktober video, or in any other video that you want to click on. I don't know. Just consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I hope everything is fine. I hope everything is chill. Just take care. Have a good day or a good night. You know. Take care. Bye. See ya.